my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hey. It's me, everybody. Jesse Blaze Snyder, the Coolest Geek Alive. All right, let's just say it. I didn't really want to record today. Not because I don't have thoughts, not because I don't care, but because honestly I'm tired, soul tired, and the world feels like it's constantly trying to break whatever little hope you've got left. I saw the new Superman movie, and part of me lit up because for the first time in a while, I saw a Superman that actually felt like Superman. A good man, a symbol, a fucking light. And I wanted to believe in him again. For a moment, I did. But then, of course, came the twist. I talked about this a little bit last week. The little twist rewrite, the subversion, which is the video voice message from Krypton that Superman has in the Fortress of Solitude, where now Jor-El and Lara are suddenly power-hungry despots, sending their son to Earth not as a gift, but as a conqueror in waiting. Take over the planet, Kal-El. Take wives. Take what you want. Rule without mercy, I believe they say. And just like that, hope comes with an asterisk. So I'm torn. Do I recommend this movie? Do I celebrate the flicker of light even though it's surrounded by shadows? Or am I participating in the slow erosion of everything I love about our myths? I don't know. But I'm going to talk about it because this is where we're at. This is what geek culture looks like now. So let's talk about Superman. Let's talk about what we've lost and what we might still be able to save. Welcome to the Coolest Geek Alive. Let's go. So, Superman. Superman is this eternal light, this eternal goodness. He is the archetype for all of the superheroes in comics. He is arguably the first real superhero having powers beyond that of a man doing detective work like the Shadow or whatever else. I mean, granted, there's a little bit of John Carter from Mars and Superman originally leaping tall buildings and not flying over them. But essentially, Superman is the beginning of superheroes. And there were a lot of superheroes who used to represent his morality. His morality is pure gold, pureness, purity. Thou shalt not kill. There's always a better way. Superman is basically as good as his writers and his writing. There's a lot of people out there who don't think Superman's the best character in the world because they can't see themselves in him. And that's disappointing. I know to a certain degree I was intimidated by Superman before I read Superman comics and was able to be treated to some really wonderful writers writing Superman. Because there's all these sort of shortcuts that you can take with your morality if you're willing to. It's difficult standing morally every time. It's a more difficult life to lead when you stand for something. And Superman does. Most of the other characters like the Flash and Green Lantern who had that pure morality, they eventually fell by the wayside in terms of that characterization. The old school Flash and old school Green Lantern are now in the pages of JSA, and they have a similar old school morality. And the JSA comic book, when that is done right, is basically a whole team of people who are living the life that Superman lives. a life of there's always a better way. We need Superman. We need an example in existence of someone who believes there's always a better way. Try to think of anybody else in fiction in your life who represents that sort of purity. I hope I do. But I'm sure it's hard to see me that way. It's hard to see anybody that way. So many little details could color the image. That's kind of the problem that we have here today with the new Superman movie, because there's some things coloring the image that's fucking it up and taking away the purity that it really represents. If you're a shitty writer, that means you're only so creative, you only have so many thoughts. To write a character like Superman, you will hear shitty writers talk about how, oh, it's so limiting, he's got all the powers in the world, he can do anything, and I'm not clever enough to write around that, is the subtext. He can hear everything, he can see everything, he can fly, he's got super strength. I need to limit his powers in this way or that way so that it'll make it easier for me to write him. These are all signs of bad writers. When somebody comes into some character and they go, oh, he's too powerful. It's like, I'm not good enough. That's what they're saying. I'm not a good enough writer. I can't do it. Deadpool used to teleport around, body slide by one. He would have this little body slide thing and he would teleport. I loved his teleportation powers. It was humorous how he could just show up places and disappear easily, and it made it make sense that he was able to ultimately live the way he lived and still, survive, not be arrested or whatever else. And like some of the first writers who came along to take over from Joe Kelly on Deadpool, was one of the first things they got rid of. Nah, we don't need him teleporting all around. I want to put him in situations where that thing doesn't work. But when something is introduced as a foundational element of a character, and it becomes a part of the types of stories that are told with them, for you to remove that thing so you could tell a different type of story is actually you fundamentally dishonoring the foundations of the mythology. And granted, sometimes it's okay to fundamentally dishonor the foundations of a mythology when it's not working. If it's not working and people aren't enjoying it, and you're trying to get somewhere. The revisionist history of comic book characters is wonderful. The reason why we have Superman with the mythology that we have is John Burns and is the Jerry Schusters and Joe Siegels and all of these people who contributed to the early and then later versions of the Superman character, and the people who engaged with them all and took all the best parts and distilled it down to something. Richard Donner and Christopher Reeves, in their film, the original Superman film that made people believe a man could fly. That stuff all is a part of this revisionist history that gets utilized, hopefully, when this stuff is really being done well. You just have a shitload of wonderful ideas to pull from. And slowly but surely, the perfect, most powerful, distilled version of the idea is born. Batman, oh my God, Batman has so many people to thank for the depiction of that character. It's so layered. It's so well done over years of history. The different Robins that have been introduced successfully, from Dick Grayson, who became, really the poster child for the first, but really works in a lot of other ways once he grew up out of Batman's shadow and became his own man. He became a character that people really loved and engaged with. And then when they came back around for a second Robin, they gave us somebody who invariably we weren't going to like, but they gave us the opportunity to kill him in the comics. And then we killed him, and then eventually we decided to bring him back, because wouldn't that create an interesting dynamic? And it did. And the third Robin, well, we finally got that one right. We figured out, well, what if this man really worked for this here? What if he detected who Batman was? What if he figured it out? And we got Tim Drake's Robin. And then eventually you get the Damian Wayne Robin, which again was we know probably people aren't going to like this. It's Batman's son, so let's make him particularly unlikable. That's good writing, good thinking. Yes, people aren't going to like them. Make them somebody that you won't like. You know, this is the sort of writing that you get when you're introducing wrestlers into the wrestling, the world, what is it, the WWE, the Wrestling Entertainment? I wanted to call it the Federation. You have to think about how these characters are going to land. Depending on how they land, you have to proceed from there with that knowledge. There's a lot of different ways you can handle it from there, but you should be handling it with a knowing of what people think of the character. And, Batman, for him, it was a lot of these, side characters and whatnot that made Batman who he is. When it comes to Superman, it's simpler. Superman really is just about pure goodness. And all of the best writers get him there. Their stories revolve around what would a man of pure goodness do in this situation. And I promise you, you all, every person listening to the show, you will always be better in your life for having watched a story about a man made of pure goodness trying to figure out a better way to do something. Because most people aren't that. And they have a way that they've been doing things. They've been doing it for forever. The world is the way the world is because of all the people taking the fucking shortcuts and not being Superman. Being Superman takes a level of creativity, of cleverness. And it's funny, too, because Superman is never really depicted like that, as like he's the smartest man in the world. But honestly, he is the smartest man in the world. Because the good Superman stories are written by some of the smartest men in the world. People who are clever and creative enough to figure out a better way. Look around this world. How dumb are we? How fucking stupid. How short-sighted is your average man? It's terrible. What does it say to have Superman, the depiction of all the greatness that a man could be? Granted, he's not a man, he's an alien, but what we could imagine, what we could do, what we could accomplish if we could do anything. And this man, his stories fundamentally rotate around the idea that he's good, that he's not going to hurt people for no reason, kill people for no reason, if he can help it, if there's anything else he can do. The idea of the negative zone, this Superman prison, where he was putting all these people into this prison. Granted, there's a lot of questions about the negative zone and the morality of something like that, and that's. If you've got questions like that, that's awesome. You should get into comics and you should write those stories in the fucking DC Comics. That would be awesome stories to tell. Stories that I've thought about telling before. In Batman, there's a story that I've wanted to tell for a while. I don't know why I chose Batman. It just seemed like maybe a Batman type thing. But I wanted in Gotham City that there was people going missing. Drug addicts. And then eventually, after a few months, they would show up back on the street, no longer addicts, doing better, a little money in their pocket, trying to get a job. And ultimately, you would find out that there was a man who was kidnapping all of these drug addicts and taking them off the street and forcing them to get clean, and then helping to reintegrate them into society. Now, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to go kidnap people. You're not supposed to go against people's free will. If they want to do drugs, that's their prerogative, right? But this guy says, nah, it's for the greater good. To have Batman have to interfere with somebody doing something like this, what is his take? What is Batman? I go around and I punch people in the face because I don't like what they're doing. This guy's politely kidnapping them, locking them up, helping them to get over what they're doing, and then helping them to get them on a better path. Arguably, this guy's doing a hell of a lot more good than I'm doing. But you're not supposed to be allowed to do that. Is this okay? Do I let this guy get away with it? I hadn't finished that story. I didn't know where it was going to go. I just knew I wanted to tell that story. Superman has a similar thing going with the Phantom Zone. Superman is a Christ-like character. And I don't really love that sort of imagery, if Scott Snyder was pulling that shit. It's like, you can't have your Superman get his neck broken at the end. Break fucking General Zod's neck at the end of your movie, and also have little visual allegories of he's Jesus. No, he's not Jesus. Sorry, your Man of Steel sucks. He's not Jesus. Superman is as to Christ. I had a story. I was invited to write an inventory story, either Batman or Superman. I could take my pick. When I was auditioning to write for DC Comics, which, for those of you who have read it, I did a series for them called Dead Romeo that I created for them. Soup to nuts. The original thing that I wanted to do was much more awesome, but what they did is what they wanted me to do was okay too. And so when I was auditioning, I ended up writing a Batman story. It was an April Fool's Day special called "What's the Joker's Favorite Holiday" or something like that. And it was drawn, but it never was released because of the New 52, and Batman's costume visual changed, and a couple little subtle things like that kept it from ever being released, which was a bummer. But I had a couple other plans, a couple other Batman stories. I literally wrote a whole script for a story called A Darker Night or something like that, and it was about literally Clayface transforming himself into Batman and sneaking into the Batcave. I also had a Superman story. And in this Superman story, essentially, I had some sort of higher being, higher consciousness, alien, whatever you want to call it, who comes to visit Earth, scans the place, and is about ready to destroy it, but decides that Superman is too good to be destroyed. And so he pulls Superman from the world and tells Superman what he's about to do, and that he's sorry that he's been having to live here with these animals, and that don't worry, he's gonna transplant him somewhere where his goodness will be matched, and where he'll be truly appreciated for who he is, and that the people of this world are just too selfish and stupid to continue to live. And Superman has to plead for the life of the planet. Like, no, those are all my friends down there, and they deserve a chance at this. They're good. They're better than you realize, and I'm here to guide them, and I'm not going to stop until we get somewhere better. And I really liked the idea of the story. I never wrote it, just kind of concocted it. But to me, it was really fundamental to who Superman is. Like I said, in the DC universe of comic books, Superman became that guy. All of the other characters have been sort of like written to have these sort of flaws. And Superman's flaw is that he's got to do things the right way. And it's funny, it's such a cop-out when they adjust that and have Superman kill somebody or whatever else, because there is always another way. There's another way that you can imagine it. There's another way that it could transpire. And it's lazy writing, essentially, because Superman, he's got all the fucking powers in the world. He can do anything that he needs to do. And being able to look at that sort of toolbox and go, well, I snap his neck. Like, it's so fucking lame. It's such a waste. It's such a mark of bad craftsmanship. And I know for you quote unquote Snyder bros out there, as they like to say, I mean, this is just some bullshit term that they've made for you people who are supporting Scott. And I think a lot of it is bots, I talked about last time. But there are some people out there who are big fans of Man of Steel, and they're like, hey, man, like, I like Man of Steel. Listen, I'm sorry to say this. I'm not trying to say it at this moment to inflame you. But that version of Superman where he snaps the guy's neck with his power, it's the corruption of your soul, man. You like it because you've been taught a corrupt version of the world, where when we don't like what's going on in Afghanistan, we go over there and we snap some necks. And it's okay because you've got cousins and brothers, or you yourself have been in combat and been a part of this thing. And you have to say it's okay. You need Superman to make it okay by snapping Zod's neck because you don't feel okay when there's a man out there who's willing to find a better way. Do you understand? I'm talking to your fucking soul right now. If you go, if you're making excuses for Superman snapping a neck, it's because you don't feel fucking good enough in Superman's presence. It's okay. I didn't feel good enough in Superman's presence when I was a kid, when I was younger. I had thought, Superman. He was challenging my ego. He was making me look at who I was. I don't like the idea of reading about this person who was so fucking virtuous. They always did the right thing. I didn't know that I could do the right thing. I didn't believe that I could do the right thing. But that's just our egos talking. And God damn it, we need more characters in this world who challenge, fundamentally challenge our egos. We need myths to live up to. I'm telling you, the world would be a better place if there was more Superman comics and stories and other characters of a similar variety. Most of the characters that you've ever truly liked, loved, whatever, they were characters who were like Superman, but they didn't have his powers. They didn't have the power to make it easy for themselves. So you watch them struggle hard to do the right thing. The fact that Superman doesn't quite have to struggle so hard makes it easy to just be like, he barely had to work for it. Of course, the great writers put Superman into moral conundrums that he does have to work for it. One of the greatest stories, Superman stories ever told, is For the Man Who Has Everything. It's written by Alan Moore. It's excellent. There's a lot of great ways in which you could read it. They did a adaptation of it in the Justice League Unlimited. There's this plant called the something Mercies, I think. And basically this alien shows up in the Fortress of Solitude on Superman's birthday and puts this plant on his chest that connects to him and locks him into a virtual reality of the world exactly the way he might want it to be. He's just a regular guy on Krypton with a wife and kid, living a happy life. And Batman and I think Wonder Woman show up to the Fortress of Solitude to present him with a present. And they find him like this, and they're trying to get the thing off of him. And to take this thing off of Superman is to take away everything that he wants in his life. At a certain point, Batman gets it on him, and his parents are alive, and he's a well-adjusted man who doesn't have to fight a fucking never-ending battle. These heroes give up this false reality because it's the right thing to do. Because there's somebody on the other side who's going to take advantage of them going missing, of not having to fight them, and take over the world. And while he might be okay inside his little illusion, it's an illusion, and he has to give it up. It's a scary story, scary proposition. Walk away from everything that you want. These are the types of stories that Superman and Batman, because all of these heroes have a fundamental core morality. Playing against each other and seeing the differences between them is the beauty of superhero comics. It's so lame, superhero comics. Look at this guy. He's in... The great writers have used these archetypes, these ideas, to play idea against idea to great effect. They are the greatest ideas, the greatest stories ever told in these comics. I've watched at least 10,000 movies, probably. Hours and hours and hours and hours of TV. And I have read a shitload of comics, man. I don't even know how many at this point. But they're better. The types of stories being told, the types of stories that are allowed to be told because there's no budget. There's just an ability to say, here's a story I'd like to tell. Let's tell it. That sort of freedom really is a huge thing. But the types of moral quandaries that exist because of comic book superhero storytelling, the idea that this hero exists like this, and this hero exists like this, and they live in a shared universe, and now they join up together on the Justice League, or they have a team up, and we get to see these two different worlds, these two ways of thinking come up against one another. It's really wonderful. To a certain degree, every main character in every movie you've ever seen, they're all like fundamentally motivated the same exact way. They're just human beings in this stupid, superficial world looking for money and riches and blah, 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 blah. Superman, Batman, they're not looking for that. They've got a mission. They're doing it. They do it a certain way. They come up against somebody else. It's like, this is why I kind of hate characters like Guy Gardner and Booster Gold. They work in the DC universe because it's not all of them. But when you go into other alternative superhero universes, it's all of them. The fucking Youngblood characters and whatnot, they are all just a bunch of superficial, in for themselves. Yeah, I kind of like being a celebrity. Yeah, I get paid well by the government. Fuck those guys. Fuck those guys. They are superficial, morally devoid of anything good. Superficial depictions of these characters that are nothing to aspire to be. I did a post today about women who call themselves, quote, women. Like, like when I see women, like, I don't think like, oh, that's not me. I'm always looking at things as humanity. But they are pulling themselves apart. Oh, women, we're getting cheated on by men because of women. It's hysterical. You want to get into like the man-woman debate thing or whatever. The majority of the women are going after 20% of the men, if that. 80% of the men are sad and lonely. I know so many of us because I'm in the geek culture world, where people who have hobbies, like you'll see the memes all the time. It's like, what are the men who aren't cheating doing? They're currently right now playing some D&D. They're molding a sword for fun. Yeah, we have hobbies. We're interesting. We're deep. We're not playing the keeping up with the Joneses game that you guys are playing by virtue of the Kim Kardashians, and you guys want to be the next Kardashians. It's disgusting. And I'm, of course, talking about the, quote, women who are complaining about this shit. It's not all of you, but there's a lot. And there's a lot of complaints about the men. And the men you guys are going out with are the fucking bottom of the barrel. Us men know how many great men there are. And granted, plenty of us do find wonderful people. I've been fortunate that I've never been concerned about that. And I've always been able to find people who were right for me. But there is a lot of this superficial worship going on. I want the guy with the Mercedes Benz. I want the woman who stands up for people. I want the woman who does the right thing, even when it's difficult. I believe I have a woman like that. I believe most of the women that I've been with on some level have been that sort of person. A person who cares about other people. If you're listening to my show, you're probably like me. You're probably not looking for the superficial people in this world. Not following in their footsteps. And that's wonderful. Thank you. We need more of you. So this Superman situation, it's a conundrum. There are so many Supermen in this world. The fucking Superman from Invincible, and the Superman from The Boys, and the Superman from the various Supermans from fucking Marvel comics like The Sentry, or Hyperion, who's a direct copy of Superman. Superman is the only one of them that is this purity. And it's why it's such a big deal that they fucked with his origin, and why I feel so fucked up about it. And we'll talk about that more in a second. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. Why hope is essential in the face of everything dark today. Oh my God. Why is hope essential? It is not a hopeful world. If you are out there spreading hope, being a source of joy, a source of possibility, you are doing what very few are. The fact that Superman represents such a thing to such a degree that he literally intimidates people from reading his books. People don't like him because he seems too perfect, and they feel too imperfect. Good. We fucking need that. We need that. Especially we need somebody who's that but isn't Christ. That but isn't God. That but isn't Muhammad or any of these other fucking deities that we might point to and fight over for religious reasons. Hope as just a written myth of Superman. I mean, you just think of his tagline from the movie, "You will believe a man can fly." giving hope to something that most people have long given up on. Not me. I will fly one day. And I won't stop until I do. But we need those sorts of symbols. It meant a lot, felt good to see a good Superman on the screen. He's a good guy. You know, I love Krypto the Superdog, one of my favorite characters in the Superman family. Just a simple, loving dog who's not perfectly trained and very powerful. You know, that little bit, he's just not perfectly trained, but he's a good boy. He's very powerful. I love Krypto. So that was cool. Again, I didn't like the subtle little, he's like, I like a dog who's got fluffy hair, flu hair. Nah, Krypto's been depicted as a certain type of dog for a long time. I don't understand why we had to change what dog breed he was. Just another race swap as far as I'm concerned. It's just like such a subtle little thing. It's like, I've been waiting for them to bring this to life my entire life. Here it is. What? That's not the kind of dog he was. What the who did this? Like, seriously. I think it's fucking ridiculous. Something so simple. It's like, here we go. Oh, man. Can you imagine Krypto flying through the air? Real dog and all. Oh, man, that'd be so cool. All right, here it is. We made it for you. Why'd you change the dog breed? Like, when you just ask it like that, isn't it like seem like a... Like, they're stupid? Why'd you change the dog breed? We chose the dog breed. We like the dog breed. If we didn't like the dog breed, we would have changed the dog breed at some point. But we didn't. We never changed the dog breed. Why is that we didn't change the dog breed? Oh, I think we liked the dog breed. Yeah, we were good with it. We were happy about the breed of dog that we had chosen. And, you know, it worked for, I don't know, where was Krypto introduced? Like 6 decades or something like that? No, it got to be more than that. 8 decades? It worked for a long fucking time. It worked for longer than anybody who worked on this movie has been working professionally as a writer, creator, director, producer. For longer than you have been making things, this has worked as a concept. Why did you change it? Why did you feel the need? Who told you to change it? Why did they feel the need? What's wrong with them? You bought or you own the Superman concept. You wanted to make a movie to cash in on all the fans. Why fundamentally change something like that? And that is a fundamental change, the breed of dog. As to race swapping. This is the character, they look like this. I don't want to see a white Black Panther. I love T'Challa. He's one of my favorite characters in comics. Who they are is tied to their race and where they're coming from, to some degree. You don't just arbitrarily change it for no good reason. I know it's a funny one to say because they're arbitrarily changing it for no good reason right now in Marvel Comics. They're making Black Panther white, which is just a fucking... It's like an advertising thing for Christopher Priest, who's great. Christopher Priest is a brilliant writer. I'm sure he'll ultimately do something good with it, even though he's literally telling the story that we don't want. Maybe he's telling it to show us why we don't want it. I don't know. But he's smart enough that I trust him to, you know, do things for the right reasons. He's a great writer. He's been writing for a very long time. But changing the dog breed is just dumb. So this film rewrites Superman's parents. They go from being a beacon of hope and higher values, higher mindedness, you know, an advanced culture, to essentially a cruel, conquering despots. The last line of the transmission that is received. Apparently, like only the first half of the transmission came through. It was damaged. But then Lex Luthor and his people, they managed to decode the rest of the transmission. And the rest of the transmission says, take a lot of wives, take over the planet. And the last thing he says is, show no mercy. Show no mercy. I got a message for all of you. There is no higher being anywhere in this infinite plane of existence you are on that shows no mercy. The people who create characters like that are human beings. Human beings have been shown what a world of conquering despots looks like. And so they take all higher-minded concepts and eventually drag them down to their level. Make no mistake, changing Superman's parents like this changes everything. All the why behind Superman is, and granted, I'm like, well, what about Mom, Pa, Ken? Sure, that's part of it. He's a wonderful being who's found by wonderful beings. He's pure. He's a purity. And there are tons of stories that go back in time to Krypton or connect to Krypton in one way or another. And now thousands of stories are now distorted. He gets to pick, well, I'm still going to do what my parents have taught me, the truth, justice, and the American way thing. Not that they mentioned that in the movie. But at the very end of the movie, his sister, cousin, Kara Zor-El, is introduced, the girl Supergirl. And she is now from this same place. She was a little older. They told him to show no mercy to these little peon beings. It kills me. I mean, this is what they did with Star Trek in the Kurtzman Trek, the recent years after the 3 J.J. Abrams produced movies, which I like okay, but are not exactly the Gene Roddenberry Star Trek that I grew up loving. And I'm more of a fan of Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. Even though I used to watch the original series, my dad's a big fan of the original series. The idea that they would introduce Section 31, the Star Trek Black Ops Division, is essentially saying that in the future, where we get it right, where we literally have a prime directive to stop us from interfering with other races, to stop us from fucking up the development of other races. We have a prime directive. The main thing we don't do, we don't interfere. They have a fucking Black Ops Division. They trying to tell us that deep down, we are just as evil in the future as we are right now, as we are today. They took the only positive vision of the future that I am aware of, and they made it dirty and yucky like we are here on Earth. That kills me. That hurts me. It hurts me that they changed Superman's parents, because Superman was like this ray of sunshine that was sent to the Earth, making him a good guy despite the fact that his parents and lineage is evil. it basically suggests that this is the best there is. This isn't. This is not the best there is. This earth, this world, the way this works, this is not the best there is. I promise you. There is much better out there. Superman's parents represented what was better out there. And with the flick of a pen, that all came crashing down. And now, the hope in the galaxy. The idea that somewhere, in the history of the universe was a planet of wonderful, pure beings, or at least mostly wonderful, pure beings, who were able to save their son and send him somewhere where he would thrive, send him somewhere where he could be a beacon of hope for the people. That's so powerful. So wonderful. So fundamental. It's so fucked up to think that somebody grabbed the switch and went, nah, the opposite way. The opposite thing is true now. It's so easy to change myth. It's so dangerous. Now, every single time somebody wants to go back and they want the element of Superman's parents being good to be present, they have to remind you that that's true in this story. Like in the comics, you go to read the comics, but you've seen this movie, and they're telling you a story that on some level hinges on the idea that Krypton was a good place. Now they have to remind you that it was. Or they have to rewrite the story to fundamentally change it, to fundamentally darken the DC universe in space. Like, what does this say about the guy who went on to be Ion? I forget the guy's name now, but there was like a Kryptonian. He's like from Kandor. Is it Kandor, the pocket city of Kandor? He's got Superman powers, and he's a Green Lantern. Well, is it somehow like he's a good guy? He comes from like a good version of the Kryptonian thing. Like, this creates so many holes and questions and things for existing material that they have that are stories that I might have liked to see told. With a flick of a pen, you change something that erased continuity and erased tried and true stories that had already been told and retold that we wanted to see. And now we'll probably never see them because there's like a fundamental of what it is that we're looking at. And you'd have to walk back on this to tell us the story the way we had originally wanted to be told the story. Like, and it just hardly seems worth it. Like, you did this all for, like, the big twist in the movie. Was it that big a twist? Was it... Did we care about it? Did the audience care about it? I didn't. As an audience member, I was just sort of like, oh, well, that's upsetting. There's so many other stories you could have told. There's so many other things that you could have told me. So many other things that you could have did with your 2 hours of screen time to tell me something, teach me something. And that's what you added? Isn't that funny, too? Like, to think of, like, is that an ad? Have we made an addition by taking something that was already there and going, nah, this was all secretly evil the whole time? It's not an ad for me. And these changes, they reflect a larger cultural pattern. Cynicism, replacing idealism. Subversion, replacing sincerity. That one really sucks. Subversion over sincerity. I'm a sincerity guy. I don't like subversion at all. Certainly not a big fan of cynicism. There's a book called Transmetropolitan by Warren Ellis that had become very popular. It was required reading at the comic book store that I used to work at when I was a kid. And Transmetropolitan is okay. Warren Ellis is a very good writer. But the fucking cynicism in that book is just, oh my God. And to a certain degree, it was like the beginning of the birth of this sort of cynicism that we see now everywhere. When they said James Gunn was going to write Superman, I was very nervous because of the cynicism that I see in his work. He's ultimately hopeful and blah, 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 but he's like a hopeful, stupid guy in a world that is sinister. Always. He comes from the horror world. I've written a decent amount of horror, but it's not because I'm that guy at all, really. Just sort of like happened to roll out that way. Happened to fall into my lap that way. But most of the people who are like in that world, it's because of a cynicism. It's because of fears that they have about the world. So you put a man with a lot of fears about the world that he's processing through filmmaking in charge of Superman? Fuck, this movie might become a vessel for his fears about the world. And what is this? It's a vessel for his fears about the world. Oh no. Turns out those higher-minded, idealist people who seem sincere, they weren't really sincere. This is his cynicism, his fear about the world. Granted, at the end of the day, that cynicism didn't creep into Superman, who gets to still be happy Superman, always trying to do the right thing. And granted, that always trying to do the right thing, he let his clone die pretty handily in the thing. I mean, like, they kind of like took it out of his hands. Another little spoiler, but like the end of the movie ends in a way that I tend not to like, which is a character fighting themselves on some level, fighting a character that has essentially the same powers as them. It's just 1 + 1. Venom versus another Venom. There's so many movies that do this. It's just like boring. And this guy dies, and Superman doesn't exactly do anything to save him. And I was a little miffed about that. It's like that could have went another way. There was a lot of moral ambiguity that went on. There's a little moment with Hawkgirl in the movie, who's probably my least favorite character in the flick, mostly because it makes no sense for her to be there the majority of the time. Her powers are just like stupidly wasteful in the face of a whole bunch of the things that the other characters are having to go up against. And Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific, they have a lot more going on to help them to be factors in these fights. But Hawkgirl does not. And one of her most prominent moments is her she's got one of like the bad guys in her arms, and he's like goading her in her face at like, you won't do anything to hurt me or whatever because you're like a hero. And she's like, not so much, and drops him. So this is my introduction to Hawkgirl, that she happy to kill, and she's got wings, and she's got a mace, and like, you think that makes me care about her? Think that makes anybody care about her? Doing what is easy is not remarkable or admirable. Yeah, I know. I know some people aren't brave enough to fucking do what is hard. My whole life is to do what is hard. I could have sold my soul to the devil, and I'd be, a household name as a musician. I am incredibly talented. Go listen to my music. Go listen to my music thinking, Jesse thinks he's incredibly talented. What a fucking arrogant piece of shit. Let's see what this music sounds like. You will be blown away. It's diverse across countless genres. There is no genre for me. As a lyricist, I am on point. I communicate in a language everybody can understand. I've studied anthems my entire life and choir music. I was in the Florida Singing Sons as a child because I have always been a talented vocalist. I've become a very talented vocalist. I didn't really consider myself one for a long time. And I say that because I don't take it lightly when I say I'm very fucking talented at what I do. But every single time I got near any of these record labels, they wanted to make me into Bon Jovi. They wanted me to be some pretty boy writing love songs for teen girls. And I'm not here to perpetuate the same stupid lovesick puppy paradigms that we've been in for all this time on planet Earth. I'm here to teach people to be idealistic, to be positive, that there's a better way to think, there's better ways to be. But there are too many people teaching them to take the easy way. And most people do. Most people take the easy way. There are days when I think, might have been nice to take the easy way. On some level. But on deeper levels, I know that I'm not giving up my soul. I'm not giving up who I am as a person. I'm not giving up my idealism to this system the way it is. I'm not going to broadcast that I'm non-binary so I can get work in Hollywood. I'm not going to sell out who I am as a writer, what it is I think is worth writing about, to be something that Hollywood or the current comics world might think was virtuous. You shouldn't do it either. And I mean, honestly, this has led to this episode because, like, I don't know what to do here. I want more hope in our stories, in our films. But am I settling if I recommend this distortion of a Superman movie? To some degree, I definitely am. Am I participating in the degradation of myth? Or am I helping to preserve the small flame of hope that exists within this movie? I think it's okay to recommend something flawed if the flame still flickers within it. This past weekend, I recommended the Jurassic World Rebirth movie. It's not a masterpiece, but I love seeing these dinosaurs brought to life and, just watching them go hunting the human beings and the human beings being all freaked out about it. Oh, no, it's a dinosaur. It's eating me. It's just fun. It's just fun. I don't think I even said it as eloquently as I just did on Sunday's episode or Saturday's episode. But it is. It's fun. So in the name of that sort of fun being had more, I said, I picked this. This is good. I like this. There's a lot of people on YouTube. I tend to do a lot of my watching on YouTube for entertainment stuff. So I'll watch people like Doomcock or The Critical Drinker or Nerdrotic, and plenty others. A lot of them have been trashing Jurassic Park, and kind of half trashing Superman. I want a better world, man. I want to live in a better world. And if this is as good as we can get for now, I'll take it. It sucks that I have to lower my standards to have anything close to what I would like to see in this world. But they do exist. I did some great Superman episodes years ago now. Or is it years ago now? Maybe a year ago now. Early in the show. You can go check it out. There's a Batman, Superman, and a couple others that I did on like some of the best comics that you can read. Off the top of my head, I'll just tell you that some of my favorites were written by the team, and granted, they were all on separate books, but they were formulating this whole world together. The team of Jeff Loeb, Joe Kelly, who's one of my favorite writers, period, and two other guys whose names I forget. But they had done a really good job. One of the storylines was called Emperor Joker, where Joker shows up. Great artist Ed McGuinness is one of the artists on this book. Doug Mank, I think it's Mank. He's one of my favorite artists. Love Doug Mank. If you don't follow Doug Mank on Instagram, where he is animating his own artwork regularly, it is so fucking cool. To heavy metal music. He's got just like animated videos of Batman and Bane powerlifting and bodybuilding. It's fucking hysterical. I love it so much. I really do. Just fucking Batman in the gym, moving serious weight. Doug Mank famously drew What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which is written by Joe Kelly. This was adapted into an animated version of itself, which is pretty good. But What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way is a type of Superman story that has been written over and over again. And it is basically Superman coming up against these extreme heroes who are, like the Punisher or whatever else, or more like Batman, more like Daredevil, where they are inflicting a lot of damage and being really rather dark and evil in order to bring about their better world, the thing that Superman is unwilling to do. And you see what happens when Superman comes up against these sorts of ideas and the type of man that he is when he's put to the test. And I encourage you all to go seek out these stories. Seek out the great Superman stories. Go listen to that podcast. Like I said, I listed a whole bunch of them back in the day. Not that long ago. But it feels like long ago now. Yeah. So, despite everything, I recommend this new Superman movie. Yeah. I needed to see Superman this week. Even this broken version, even knowing that it was broken in this way, flawed like this. Because even a flicker of the real thing still means something. Because hope, even with an asterisk, is better than nothing. And I do want better. I want hope back on the big screen. Maybe if we show up for this, something better will come. And I like to think it will. Anyway, if you're an outside-of-the-box thinker like me, you should be listening to my podcast every Monday. I just skipped this week because I've been busy. But a lot of episodes of really excellent information. I've been really kicking ass on the show the past few weeks. I've been very proud of the information I've been laying out, what I've been putting into your brains to help you ponder and remember why you came here, to remember all this shit and break this box that we're living in and make a better world for us all. The show's called Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I generally do it every Monday. Of course, I do this show on Saturday, and I hope you'll check out whatever my coolest pick is for this Saturday. I have 2 Kickstarters that are available for notifications on Kickstarter. If you go to Kickstarter and type in Jesse Blaze, I think both of them come up. It's Sugar and Bones Magazine, which is my magazine of comic books and pop culture and teaching, sort of teaching great entertainment, delivering great entertainment, and gushing over great entertainment. I've got a lot of wonderful people who I'm working on this magazine with. I'm very excited to get it off the ground. Just been dealing with a lot of personal stuff lately, so I've been a little slow. And then additionally, there's a box set of music that I've been threatening to put out, and we'll see how my soul does in the next couple weeks. If I can get this thing going, I will very soon. But if you're interested in either of those things, sign up for notifications and check it out. And check out my music, man. I'm Jesse Blaze Snyder. It's going to be fucking awesome. The theme song that you hear every single time you listen to this show, I wrote that. And that's not an example of Jesse as a songwriter. That's an example of Jesse being able to write specifically to the fucking thing that I'm doing, which is I need a theme song for my show, and I got this idea. It's going to be fucking awesome. It's just simple. It's just fun. It's just going to make people smile. Being a great writer is about adjusting to the project. I don't really have much of a style. I might have like preferences that you might see in my work, but I don't have a style. My style is to complement whatever it is that I'm working on. And if it's a podcast and I'm writing a theme song for a podcast, well, it's got to be that. And if I've got a fashion company, then I'm doing a little theme for them, for their, the videos that they're cutting together, I got to make the perfect thing for that. Making the perfect thing for the job. That's what a good writer is. Somebody who can write what is needed. Because what's needed is always different. Anyway, I love you guys. I love Superman. I like this Superman movie okay. I don't love it, but I like it. I like Hope. I like Mr. Terrific. It's cool to see him looking like himself in a movie. I like Guy Gardner okay. He's fun. I like you. Thanks for listening to this show. Thanks for supporting my voice, my work in any way that you may. I love you for listening. I appreciate you very much. And I hope you'll join me again next Wednesday for another fucking awesome episode of The Coolest Geek Alive. Peace.
You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? It's gonna be fucking awesome. Coolest alive. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Stay with your tribe. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Revenge of the Geeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Week after weeks. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice gonna be fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right on text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top of the be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. All right.